Good morning, lovely friends. How are you all today? I hope you're well. Oh my goodness. I'm just looking out there now and it's beautifully bright and sunny and there's lovely warmth. But my goodness, it's definitely, the season has definitely changed. We've been getting really grey, wet, chilly days again. I'm back to wearing a vest. You don't need to know that. You have to excuse me today. I've got a cold. Oh, it's so annoying. I think it's probably a combination of I've definitely been burning the candle at both ends recently. Just so busy all the time. Obviously busy with the garden, busy with the harvest, with my great aunt, with sewing, with the shop, with friends, with doing little favours here and there. And yeah, for weeks now, for weeks on end, I've been starting my day at 6 in the morning and I'm lucky if I finished at 12. So, and I know that's not healthy, I know that's not great, but it's all things that need doing. So yeah, I woke up a couple of days ago. We'd had our allotment community work day, which was brilliant. It was a real kind of like get stuck in that all around our perimeter, wherever we've got shrubs and trees. We were trimming things back to make sure. Sorry, I'm probably going to have to be drinking water on camera today. I might even have to blow my nose. I'm sorry in advance for that, for anyone who gets offended by that, but never mind. So yeah, all around our perimeter, we're just lopping away any sort of overhanging branches, trimming shrubs back. We've got some massive buddleia which were really out of control, so they were all hacked down. So it's really good physical work. Then we had a big bonfire. Must go and get some ash. So on the Sunday morning, the day after, when I woke up, I was aching all over. And I just thought, oh, it's because of the work party day, because I think when you're doing things like that, you're using different muscles. So if I was using the clippers up high, I thought that accounts for, oh, my elbows and wrists were so achy. Anyway, it wasn't the work that did it. I've obviously brewed a cold. Now, I'm not complaining. And it's just a cold. That's all it is. It's nothing to write home about. But you know what it's like in the first sort of couple of days of a cold, and you just feel really grotty and tired and floppy. And in an ideal world, you'd say to yourself, right, I'm going to give myself 2 days of rest, eat well, drink well, give my body a chance to deal with this bug, and then after a couple of days you start to feel better, you carry on getting on with things. The problem is, when you work for yourself, there's no time to do that. It's a tough one, isn't it? Because I do know, you know, if I was advising someone else, I'd say, look, give yourself a couple of days off. But, and like I say, this isn't a complaint, I'm just saying it as it is, and it's the truth of the situation. Today, for instance, I really, really didn't want to come to the garden. I mean, I'd like to come to the garden just to sit. I don't want to come to the garden to be doing a load of work, harvesting, then getting it home and having to process it, deal with it, what have you. Rob, the lovely Rob from Saskatchewan, I think, in Canada, he summed this situation up in a nutshell brilliantly back at the end of my video. I think it was at the end of July, it's my thoughts video, when I was talking about work-life balance. And he, like I say in a nutshell, he said, we live by the consequences of our work. Okay, so Rob is a retired farmer. Oh, and hilarious, I've got to tell you, he just sent me a picture of one of their sheep that, I don't know whether they've given it or I think it's to his nephew or his son-in-law. Anyway, he sent me a picture of this beautiful sheep, gorgeous, convex, sort of Roman nose, absolute beauty of a sheep. It's called Vivi. Thanks, Rob. I've never met another Vivi in my life. Now I have, and she's a sheep. Anyway, Rob, the ex-farmer, he put it so perfectly and succinctly. We live by the consequences of our work. In other words, if I take time off and say, I don't feel up to harvesting, then what's going to happen to that harvest? You know, a couple of days wouldn't be too bad, but if it gets on for a week, things are going to go over. I'm going to miss the harvest. So yeah, for anyone thinking about giving up normal work, for anyone thinking I'm going to give up my job and just live off the land, just be prepared for the fact that you don't get a day off. There's no such thing as a day off. And even if you feel grotty and you feel like you just can't face doing it, well, you're going to have to, because that's your food, isn't it? Oh, that is a saucer being moved by Rusty. Yes, so today, what's what? So apart from doing the work party, I've just been coming down and harvesting. We're going to get to the stage soon where things will need a bit of a tidy up and a bit of we'll come to that when we come to it. But today, and this is what I mean about not taking a day off, the Coco de Paimpol, just arriving here this morning. I can see their foliage. I'm so sorry. Really sorry, excuse me. Yeah, I can see their foliage is really yellowed. It's high time to be harvesting. In France, when they have all the festivals in the region of Paimpol, it's usually right towards the end of August and into the first week of September. So that gives me a good clue and cue of when I should be doing mine. Although I always think mine are about a week later, because of course I start mine off in the pots and then transplant them, because I can't direct sow them because I don't have any space to direct sow them at the time that they would need direct sowing, because the broad beans are in there. So yeah, they need harvesting today. If I can be bothered, I'd really like to harvest a load of the chickpeas green before the mice have a chance to get to them. What else? My mind's a little bit today. Oh, just gotta get stuck in and do it. It might be a little bit autopilot-y and definitely on a seat because, like I say, all my joints ache. But one of the first things I'm going to do, I'm going to take you over there now. You may remember a couple of weeks ago I talked about a couple of the newbies down here, M&M, who they arrived right at the end of June. So I think they basically had the plot 2 months, and I was saying what a great job they've done already. And it just goes to show, if you put in the hard work, if you apply yourselves, and if you do the work consistently, you really can get results in quite a short space of time. Anyway, at the work party, I bumped into them, because they muck in with the work parties too. They're good folk. And I asked them, I said, would you be okay with me taking a few shots of your plot to show the folk in YouTube land? Because I'd been mentioning their plot to you. And they were like, yeah, go for it. They're so easygoing. Really, really fantastic new addition to our site. So I think that's what we'll do. I've got Poppy here, she's just having a few nibbles. I'm going to have some kitty cuddles, I'm going to blow my nose, have a big gulp of water off camera, and then we'll go over to M&M's plot. Oh, and I'll show you their lovely plot number sign too. Just before I go over to M&M's plot, isn't this a lovely sight on my neighbour's plot? So whenever I'm sitting here outside my shed, this is what I get to look at. Beautiful sunflowers Absolutely lovely, and masses of blooms. And then all their gorgeous dahlias. Isn't it funny how dahlias have come back into fashion? And masses of cosmos. This is all self-seeded. More sunflowers. And then that gorgeous splash of all the orange of the nasturtiums. Oh, and more sunflowers. Woo. Yeah, I thoroughly appreciate the fact that my neighbour has all these gorgeous flowers, so that when I take a little tea or water break, that's my gorgeous view. Okay, so this is M&M's pot. It goes all the way back to the apple tree right at the back end. And when they took this on, okay, so I'll show you the type of bed in a second when they took it on. But they've got this bed going straight away. Lots of nice produce in there. And then, these lovely brassicas. I need to get in there for them. I can see a butterfly actually in there. Where did I see it? Yep. Look at their Cavallonero. Their Cavallonero is way better than mine. So they got this bed dug out and going. They managed to get a few beans in. So bear in mind, this has all been done in the last 8-9 weeks. Some squash in there. Now, most of their plot looked like this. Can you see? It's just masses of, actually it was about 3-4 feet high. They have been cutting down, but just masses of grass and raspberries everywhere. So I think with this bed, these raspberries don't look too bad. I think they're trying to rescue these, but most of the raspberries they're having out. They've managed to get a few strawberries in this year. Brilliant. Then over here, so like I say, the whole plot was like this. Look, it's just a tangle of grass and old raspberry canes. They've inherited a beautiful rhubarb. Lucky things. Oh, looks like they've got a few more brassicas in the last few days. Well done. Excellent. And then this, oh my goodness, this is what they've been working on the last 2 weeks or so. This whole, well, you can see by some of the rubbish, this whole bed, which is actually bigger than one of my beds, it's about my bed plus half again, was just like that one. So yeah, they've done really, really well. It's just that kind of consistency. Just get down here regularly and get stuck in. What's lovely though is because they have done that, because they've properly got stuck in. I mean, look, they've got beds going. It's fantastic. I'm so impressed by their work ethic. What's great is, of course, for their work this summer, and you know, the summer is not an ideal time to get a new plot, but they are going to be rewarded. They've got all these lovely brassicas for the winter. Eventually what they're going to do is they are going to make each of the beds bigger, because at the moment there's way too much grass. But they're going to be rewarded for their hard work by having a little bit, not huge, but a little bit of a harvest this year. So well done to them. And you know, it's like I say, it just goes to show a bit of work, a bit of effort, a bit of consistency, and you can take on an overgrown plot, really horrible, snarly mass of grass and raspberries, and you can get it in production in just a matter of weeks. Well done, M&M. And I've just got to show you their beautiful plot number sign. It sort of reminds me, let me show you first of all. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that beautiful? It sort of reminds me somehow of Indian henna paintings / the castles and roses type of art that you see on canal boats. Gorgeous. Oh, well done you two. Really well done. Right, I better go and see to my plot now, hadn't I? you can probably see very clearly from the colour of the foliage that these little plants are really starting to die back now. What's really surprising, having had a quick look through this morning, is I've still got tons and tons of green ones, which, yeah, that seems really late this year. Let's get picking. So there's tons of green ones left. There are also a few which have already died. This is what I mean about with all the beans. It's you almost want to be doing it on a daily basis. I am going to leave the really green ones today because I should be back in a couple of days. Just give them a chance to fatten up a bit more. Where any are dry, obviously I'm just going to leave them now. They will be next year's seed. I'll also over the next week or so, as I'm picking, where hopefully those green ones get fatter and start to turn their lovely creamy yellow, I'll also just be being mindful as I go around picking that I do need to leave some for seed saving. It's going to take me quite a while this morning, I think, trying to be thorough, getting them, making the most of them. Such a beautiful bean, such a gorgeous bean. I said it before, I'll say it till the day I die probably, but this is one of those beans I've learnt that I now can't live without. Talking of this foliage and things dying back, it's definitely that time of year when, we're starting to think about the big autumn tidy up, the big autumn clean, where, beds become free. We're taking out the last of something so that bed becomes free. So it's a good time to be thinking about whether you're going to sow a winter green manure. So in the past I've sown the field beans. Now a lot of my beds, they actually won't come free until probably right towards the end of October, by which time it's a little bit too late for me here with my climate to be sowing a winter green manure. But for example, the tomatoes will be out by then. So if you're finding that you're starting to clear beds and you haven't got a plan for them for this winter, do think about some way of covering them, whether it's with some manure, some sort of mulch, compost, cardboard, a green manure, whatever it is. Get thinking about it now, get organised, so that, like I say, over the next couple of weeks, as each bed becomes clear, you can do something about it so as not to leave it bare for the winter. I would say that if nothing else, get cardboard down, because that cardboard is going to protect the soil from the worst of any rain over the winter. So the rain won't compact the soil by lashing down on it. It's not going to be leaching out nutrients. It'll retain moisture. The worms love the cardboard. So if nothing else, get cardboard down. I'm not a fan of plastic. You all know that by now. When I see plots covered in great sheets of plastic, to me it's almost sterile. There's no life in that plastic. The thing about using the cardboard, the worms will love it and they'll thrive. There'll be other little bugs that will use it. The ground feeding birds will come along the paths, hopping, pecking just underneath the edges of the cardboard, finding grubs and things to eat. So yeah, think about it now, get on it, get ready. In terms of cardboard, I'm really lucky that my local shop gets rid of tons of cardboard all the time, and it's unmarked cardboard, so it doesn't have that kind of plastic glossy advertising pictures on the outside. That's kind of useless. You want plain brown cardboard. But for ideas of where to get it, if you've got a local electronics shop, you know, the kind of place that's selling, say, fridges or washing machines, they probably have lots of cardboard going spare. Likewise, if you've got a local bicycle shop, bike shops are great. Their bits of cardboard are massive. Yay! So yeah, definitely get on it. The other thing about the autumn tidy up is don't be too eager to get rid of everything. If you can, where you can, especially with with flowers and herbs and that sort of thing, leave some, especially if they've gone to seed now, just leave them as they are. Leave them in the ground over winter, because they're going to be a bit of habitat for insects. They're going to be food, you know, all our different birds enjoying different, enjoying different seeds to nibble on. So yeah, don't be in too much of a hurry to completely clean your plot and, like I say, make it into just some sterile, dead place for the next few months. We want our plots to stay alive all winter, if not for us, then for all the beautiful things who use our plots even when we're not looking. Right, well, this is going to take me an absolute age. I need to be a bit more thorough about this. What I need to do is actually go along a row, then a row, then a row, then a row, and then move myself over there into the much bigger patch to get on with that lot. Oh yes, it is a bittersweet time of year, isn't it? The garden is giving us so much still, but it is starting to, it's definitely starting to go to sleep. Right, come on, get on. It's high time to have some of these beauties off. Oh my goodness. What a gorgeous plant to grow. I love the colour of the foliage anyway. It just seems to stay this beautiful, deep, rich green all summer. Of course, the peppers themselves start out this beautiful, dark, glossy green, gorgeous, but then, oh, isn't that a joy? So this is a variety called Du Long de Londe. I'm going to try and remember to put that along the bottom of the screen. They are a sweet pepper, not a chili pepper, but they do have a little bit more, they've got a bit more oomph to them than a regular sweet pepper. Not a huge amount. I love growing these kind of older, what you might call heritage varieties. It's just lovely to keep these kind of plants going. I'm not sure where you can get seed from. Where did I get my seed initially? Oh, I think I got my seed from Chase Organics originally. No, I'll leave that one. Oh, I shouldn't have had that one. Never mind, it'll still be good. So the thing is, they all come at once. Oh, let's have that one from the second lot. Oh my goodness, what is that? Yeah, they tend to all come at once, and obviously I'm not going to eat all of them at once, but all I do, quite simply, I slice them down the middle, scoop out the seeds, saving the seeds of course, and just chop them up and bung them in the freezer. I don't blanch them, I don't do anything, I just literally chop them, pop them in the freezer in a sort of portion size, so that through the winter, as I'm making soups, stews, curries, whatever it is, just pull a portion out, and generally I don't defrost them. I will generally put them in, say at the stage when I'm doing my onions and garlic, when I'm just frying those off before adding everything else, I'll generally put them in at that stage. Oh, and I've just had one of my lovely orange bells off today as well. Beautiful. Oh, I love the texture of it. Right, what is next? I think I need to go and do the a few more tomatoes. We're really getting to the end of them, and another pick of my Coco and Gigantes, which I'm picking literally every couple of days now. Come on, let's go picking. Well, I've come in the shed to try to get away from that drilling noise that started when I was picking my peppers. Oh, it's been going on all afternoon. I just never seem to get a moment's peace in the garden these days. Anyway, I just wanted to have a quick word about the gorgeous Coco de Paimpol. Let me get you some variations to show you. I'm sweating cobs this afternoon, which that's fine. Let's sweat out that cold. It's not hot out there, but sticky. So I've got 3 different ones here to show you in order to show you the ideal. Can you see? So this, it's still really quite green. This one is yellow with just the beginnings of the specks of colour. This one is really quite colouring up. This one, it's a little bit, it's not ideal, it's a bit too gone. Ideally you want them at this stage, the lovely creamy yellow stage. So I've just done quite a it's so uncomfortable. I've done quite a moderate pick today. There's probably a couple of kilos there. That's partly because I've also picked a load more Gigantes, the Coco Sophie, which is the climbing version of the de Paimpol, all sorts of other bits and bobs, and I'm bearing in mind that that will all now need to be taken home and podded. And you know, so often when I'm podding at home, I think of you all podding too, and I just think, wouldn't it be amazing to have a podding party? We all just sit on the stoop together and pod as we chat, and that would be blissful. In the absence of that, I like to do my podding with some sport playing that I can listen to, but of course the tennis is over, the cycling is nearly at an end. Oh my goodness, the Vuelta this year. I don't know if any of you follow road cycling as well. Obviously the Tour de France gets all the attention, gets all the big media, but the Vuelta, my goodness, this year, what a harum-scarum race it's been. I've never seen so many crashes and incidents, and it's been bonkers, but really exciting. In the absence of a bit of sport, and in the absence of all of you to keep me company while I'm podding, I also love to put an audio book on. I love being read to, who doesn't? So yeah, it's really lovely to just sort of spend a couple of hours listening to either a play or a book, just get completely lost in it. That lovely repetitive meditative action of our fingers as they're finding those beans and popping the beans in the bowl and the pod in the bag to be brought back to the allotment. And sometimes we get so lost in the moment that we end up putting the pod in the bowl of beans and the beans in the bag of pods, so we have to go fishing down through that bag of pods to find those 4 or 5 precious beans that have accidentally been tossed there. Love it. So I think that's what I'll be doing. Well, I know that's what I'll be doing this afternoon. It seems like good, productive work to do when I'm not feeling at my best. I don't think there'll be any sport to listen to, but I think I know what I will be listening to. I picked it up in the library the other day. This is so silly. It's Winnie the Pooh being read. How lovely. But it's being read by Alan Bennett, and I could listen to Alan Bennett's voice all day. So what could be more perfect? Alan Bennett telling me all about Pooh and Piglet and Eeyore and Wall as I pod. And actually there's only a few tomatoes picked today, so there's not enough to bottle. I'll probably just whiz those up and put them in the freezer. Oh, and last word on the gorgeous cocoa. Oh, they make me so happy. Literally all I'll do is I'll pod them and they'll just go straight in the freezer. Don't bother blanching, what have you. give them a go. They're such an easy plant to grow. I've rarely had issues with germination. I thought I was having issues with germination this year, but then 2-3 weeks or so later, suddenly a load more germinated. Sorry, dusty, itchy, cold eyes. But yeah, they're really easy to grow, and what's great is, so far, touch wood, let's touch some proper wood, I hope I'm not jinxing myself, but they seem to be pest free. So, for example, when the little plants are emerging, when I've had them in the garden, I think this year I lost 2 to slug attack. Now, that's amazing when you consider all my other beans. I probably lost half of most of my other beans to slug and snail attack. So the slugs and snails, and also once they're actually planted in the garden rather than in the little pots in the cold frame, they weren't touched at all summer by the slugs and snails. In terms of them getting little bugs and weevils inside them, we all have experienced that where we're podding our beans. Excuse me, we're podding them, and then some of them, there's little black marks on them, they look a bit pocky or what have you. Not had any issues with that with the Coco de Paimpol either. So yes, apart from their gorgeousness in the kitchen, I highly recommend them as a veg to grow, because, so I keep looking out there, something's, oh, it's magpies, there's a pair of magpies, they keep catching my attention out the corner of my eye with their wings flashing. Yeah, easy to grow, seem pretty pest resistant, easy to harvest, easy to store. What's not to love? So I think for today I'm going to wrap it up there. Proper lousy. Oh, isn't it annoying? You know when you've got a cold, and firstly, I don't give people sympathy for having a cold either, because it's like, you've got a cold, shut up. But you know, and you've got no outward symptoms, so nobody has got a clue how lousy you feel. So there's no one stepping in to give you a cuddle or say, hey, why don't I cook your supper for you tonight? Oh, chance to be a fine thing. Anyway, that's a lovely little morning in the garden. I've done a few bits and bobs off camera as well. Caught up with a couple of plot friends who I'm going to be looking after their plots for a couple of weeks while they go away. So really nice just to touch base with folk and generally moan about how rubbish the squash are and clap our hands at how great the beans are this year. So on that beanie high, I'm going to say cheerio to you all. Hopefully next time I see you, I won't sound like I've got my morning voice on, and I'll feel, hopefully, I was going to say full of beans again. I'm always full of beans. I'm a vegetarian. I live on beans. But you know what I mean. Hopefully when I see you again, I'll have a little bit more energy and a little bit more vim and vigour in the garden. So until then, please take care of yourselves, everybody, and enjoy these beautiful, mellow, harvesting days of September. See you soon.